Gender-based violence is any act in which a person is seen, assaulted, coerced, or generally injured by violence, especially targeted at a specific sex or gender. Gender-based violence is arguably one of the most prevalent human rights violations in the world and is currently a shadow pandemic, resulting in life-threatening consequences on women and girls, negatively impacting their life opportunities. This human rights violation is firmly rooted in gender inequality experienced by women globally. Women and girls are disproportionately affected by GBV. In 2005, UNHDI report observed that the persistent poverty situation in developing societies like Nigeria is a consequence of continued neglect and discrimination against the female population. Now, we have in the studio Ene Obi, Country Director, Action Aid Nigeria, to give us perspectives on this story. Well, thank you. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
Okay, so why is violence against women increasing on a daily basis?
Well, some of the things that are coming up has been there, and that's why the beginning of the 16 days of activism, was muted by, the structures that have established it and encouraged by the United Nations over the years. And it was started like 30 years ago. That's 1991. And that is for the world to focus on gender-based violence, thinking that 30 years down the line, there should have been some things, a raising of awareness, and the level of impunity would have reduced, but it's not abating. I would say it's not abating, though a lot of work has been done. More than 6,000 organizations over the years have engaged. About 187 countries have been engaged, in terms of raising awareness against gender-based violence. And to say then COVID-19 came, that wasn't the scenario, because there were a lot of things, like everybody now had to stay at home. You look at your neighbors, because the perpetrators are not usually far away. Many of the times it's people from inside, because you have the sexual assault and also, in terms of battery, serious violence against women and girls. That increased, and but also I think for Nigeria, a lot of things have been done. The issue of the prohibitions, the act that has been established, and we raised a big alert last year. And the governors, the federal government came up with very strong warnings, and also the law came down. Governors were able to adopt, and we had the support for the Governors' Wives, Association and all. So there has been a lot of activities that is raising a lot of awareness, and the laws now is not is harder. And several laws like Kaduna State made even their own stiffer, against, but it's not enough to have a law, and people are aware of the law. Sensitization towards everybody knowing that if you have this done, this is how you're going to be punished. And then the culture of silence. It is said that 1 in every 3 women around the world between the ages of 15, and above have had either a sexual assault or experienced violence in different forms. And it is not located at how young you are or how old you are, and the effects are the same. The bitterness and all of that. And so, it's a lot of work to be done. So much to be done in terms of awareness raising, awareness creation, and I'm happy that you have made this session, targeting this morning.
All right, now the numbers that we have seen, like in 2020, about more than 11,000 reported cases of rape in Nigeria. Is that a true reflection of what exactly the status is, or is it just an increase in the number of reported cases?
It is I think the media, it has been unprecedented in terms of reportage. The increased awareness, also I'm happy that we have the partnership with the media. Media is doing a great job, in terms of raising the consciousness of people. The culture of silence has made it in a way that many people, many families are not reporting. When a child is raped, for example, you know, they don't want a smear on the stigma for their family and so on, and so they try to cover it up. But the life of that girl is not covered up because they have destroyed her life. And now you are having the increase for Nigeria is even worse because women are being used as a weapon of war, both by the insurgents and also you have the bandits. Women are used as a weapon of war. And they're used as weapons many of the times that they kidnap the girls and women are raped. And the number of them, like when they kidnapped hundreds of girls the other time, many of them came back with pregnancy. So many lives of our generations have been destroyed. And when you destroy the life of a woman, it's for generations. Okay. What does she become?
There's also the issue of, you know, domesticating, you know, these laws, you know, against gender-based violence. How far have we gone with that? And beyond the laws, in terms of prosecuting people, are we equipped enough? Are we ready enough to deal with these issues?
I think about in terms of, you know, getting the laws, you know, just getting justice. There has been an increase of about 22%, you know, in terms of getting judgment. Before now, you hardly get them. Over the years, you know, it got into the government of Nigeria establishing, or let me say the Nigerian police force, establishing the gender desks. You know, many of these desks are established, but they're not funded. In terms of you going out, even before then, I think there is a lot of improvement. Before then, you hardly have, you know, when you take any case of rape to the police, they will tell you to go and settle it at home. And again, the girl is left behind by the society that brings her up. You know, because they will come against you. We have a case recently, you know, from one of our, because Action Aid is in 24, you know, states across the country. And where we are working, you know, one of the girls was raped, and a little girl was raped. And then a lady, you know, a journalist was bold enough to take some of the, because they took her to the hospital, to the general hospital where they have appointed, you know, the government, because one of the nasty things is that when somebody is raped, you need evidence. And that is the ugly part. You have to go and subject yourself, open the girl up to get evidence. And then we have government designated hospitals. And so they got there and they said they were not handling it. They rejected it, you know, they said they were not handling it. And then they took them to the private hospital. Of course, the parents were worried. They wanted treatment for their child because you need immediate treatment in order to avoid, you know, infection. And so many things that the girl might be subjected to. And so they took her to the hospital, but the journalists, you know, tried to take that evidence so that, you know, it can later be used. The whole community came around and said he must delete the evidence from that phone. If not, they were going to seize the phone and smash it. They watched the person deleting the evidence and all of that. We're still trying to sort that out. The government, you know, the people says they must knock it out. And so the society that should protect the girl child is like, what is happening to our society? The moral laxity and the fact that the dignity of the girl child that used to be worshipped, you know, that they prepared a girl child until the day of your wedding. What has happened to Africa? What has happened to Nigeria? It's so easy to lose that dignity. And the dignity, you know, the form, so many girls will require psychosocial support. Even with that, it's very difficult to get over it. You have some girls that many years ago, they have been raped. They can't get over it. And so this is the world that we have.
Okay, you talked about institutions like the police, you know, relaxing on their duties. What about other institutions like the National Human Rights and the courts? Would you say they're living up to their responsibility?
Yeah, I can say there was a question that you brought out about how far have they been able to, you know, how far have they been able to get justice, or how? I think in prosecution, you know, the government has been, they are doing a lot. We are now following up, and that's why there is a multitude of, women organizations from all over. We have the Federation of International Women Lawyers. We have the, Association of Women Lawyers across Africa and within the Nigerian branch. There's so many organizations that are working on. ActionAid is currently, supporting about 124, women-led organizations on women's voices in leadership, and also looking at gender-based violence. So there is a lot, and so many other organizations, MacArthur Foundation, FCDO, you have Global Affairs Canada, you have Ford Foundation, so many other organizations, the UN Women, and the whole lot of women-led organizations, and not some are not women-led, that are working, assiduously to see that all the laws that have been, enveloped, the acts that have been passed, are implemented. So we're working and trying to see. The law itself, the court, so many cases are in court. In Nigeria, the judiciary need to sit up. They need to sit up because that is supposed to be the place where you get your justice. And then you get to that level, and the cases may be detained. For the young girl, most of the time you find out that the rape cases or the sexual assault are against the very poor. They are not able to, and the C says you have to, such cases you need to bring it to the capital where it is reported, and so going and coming, the affordability or the transport and all of that. When they come today, you delay the case, another day they delay, more than 100 million Nigerians are living below the poverty line. So how do you get the parents to also bring in up, how do they afford that? And so there's so many limitations to getting, the necessary things, and also to get the right prosecution or to get right justice, for the girl. So the court is involved. There are other aspects. Ministry of Women Affairs, and social, okay, it used to be with social development. Now it makes a bit of I won't say nonsense. It makes a bit of. It takes a lot of powers from Ministry of Women Affairs as well. That's an aspect, but under the leadership of the current minister, Dame Pauline Talent, doing a wonderful work in terms of when things are reported, they follow up, she is galvanizing a multitude of all the organizations in Nigeria to support the girl child. And she doesn't sleep when she hears a case of a girl child. But it's in a multitude. Now we are having bandits in different places. In one of the environment, like in Zamfara, they come out of the bush and they take women into their, take some women. After raping them, maybe keeping them for about a week, they come back and leave those ones and take another batch, because the men have run away, and there is so much that is going on. The kind of rot that is going on in this country. And that's a destruction that will stand for a very long time.
All right. Earlier you painted a picture and gave an instance of a lady who, there was the society, or I would say the community where she lived in, do not seem to own this, fight against gender-based violence by even attempting to, attack a journalist who is trying to preserve evidence, in that case. What are the challenges that we have in terms of, making people in communities to own this fight, to see it as a fight that they need to fight? We talk about some states that are yet to domesticate, the laws and all of that. Why are we not seeing the taking over of this by communities?
The challenges are enormous because of the patriarchal nature of our society. The issue of stigmatization is quite major. When you hear that a girl is raped, families are covering it up because they know. I think our culture understands that normally in the African culture, you are supposed to be well brought up, and you go to your husband's house. You get married as a virgin, and so the dignity of that girl child is like holistic. And we are finding out now. So when your girl, when you find out that your girl is raped, it's better to cover it so that she can get married. Maybe it's sorted out when she gets married, and then the husband finds out that she's no longer, a virgin, then they can sort themselves out. But many parents up to this moment are not willing to do that. There are some homes as well that I remember that one of the cases we had, which is in Abuja here, was that the girl was repeatedly being raped, and the woman of the house, a maid, The woman of the house did not know. But when a neighbor, you know, got worried because he was seeing this, he said, let me go and tell this woman, look, this is what happens when you are not at home. And the woman just decided to send the girl home and say she has come to terminate her marriage. Again, that is looked at from several points. The empowerment of the girl child, the empowerment of the girl child, of the woman herself, that when she is not educated, there are so many decisions that she is not able to take. Some of the women are scared of losing their marriages, because when they lose their marriages, you know, who is going to provide for them? Because what becomes of a woman when you know that your husband, the housemaid, the girl that you're supposed to protect, has been divorced by your husband, and you're still sitting in that house? Some of them, is not even the maid, it's the children, because there's a lot of incest that is being committed. And then you are still staying in that house. I remember, you know, it happened in a place, you know, because I've really traveled and I've worked in different parts of Africa. In a place it happened, the daughter, you know, was not being raped again, because it's like an accepted norm. And one of the sisters reported to the mother. The mother said it's not true. When they now prepared and made sure, you know, she caught them red-handed. The relatives of the man came and sent her out. And the girl still lives with the father. And so you find things that are going wrong, but that girl, you know, she's even begging, the lady is begging to come back and all of that. So the education of the woman is very, very important. If you and I, you know, because we're educated, you can take those decisions, because leaving the house is like, call a real estate person and say, can you get me a house? And you move your things and you're gone, because you can afford to pay. There are many women who cannot take those decisions. And so that is still on ground, but a lot of awareness is being created. It's just that we need to involve the government officials. Like, if there is a civic education, there is a National Orientation Agency. You talked about the National Human Rights Commission. There was one, we collaborate with them in all of the things that we're doing. You know, we do a lot of collaborations. There was a woman who was being battered, seriously battered, in one of the states I don't want to mention, and we had to collaborate with the National Human Rights Commission. We were able to rescue that lady. We've rescued a number of ladies. We have some shelters as well. Because again, if you want to take the woman, you know, another thing is, where will I go? You know, and many women have lost their lives because of that. Okay,
talking about the number of women in Nigeria, do we have quantitative data on gender-based violence? If no, how can we, you know, effectively address this issue without any data?
There's a lot of data gathering that was happening. We tried to, when we had the outcry of violence during the lockdown, you know, we did a lot of data. We did some data collection, and we found out that within the first few months, you know, the first two months of the lockdown, we had about 463 cases of rape and sexual assault, and also gender-based violence. So the issues of data depends on who is willing to own up, because you can have 1 in 3 women, you know, experiencing this, but you also have 1 in 10 that may likely report. So the issue is asking many people to own up. I think there is a lot more people coming out now. I remember we had a workshop on gender-based violence, and a lady came out for the first time. She said, I'm saying this for the first time. I was raped at the university, you know, and we never, you know, she wasn't able to. She said, I tried fighting. The guy took her, locked her up. He says it's like giving a lift from one side of the campus to another, and took her there and said, let's brush this house, you know, something. She said, I fought from that night until about 4:30 a.m. when my strength gave up. And those are some of the things that, you know, so reporting, the woman is hurting. So it's important. There's a lot of psychosocial support that is required, you know, to rescue the person.
Just before we round up, I just want to drop this. Most times the cases are reported long after the actual act has happened, and so it becomes very difficult to prosecute those issues. Do we need some kind of special training, maybe our prosecutors now, you know, with respect to the issues of rape, and how to ensure that evidences are not compromised, you know, before you know, judgments are gotten?
I think the agony of a woman when you're raped and then you have to, you need to, treatment needs to happen, or you need to go to the hospital, you need to get evidence. I think the world is experiencing many new things. We are still exploring new ways, and I think both the UN and the other organizations are trying to see what else is possible. Because it shouldn't just be, that evidence, of saying you must go, because within 24 hours, if you are not able to get evidence, and where hospitals are very far away, most likely that the evidence will be washed. And then you have, even within the health sector, you are having these issues of connivance. There's a lot that is being done. But we hope that the law will be made simpler, that there can be closer access. For example, that if something happens in the local community, you don't have to travel all the way to the state headquarters or to the local government headquarters before you can really get access. The primary healthcare development agencies need to maybe empower the primary healthcare facilities to be able to take those evidence and to increase that environment. A lot of people need to be aware that perpetrators, if you don't catch them, it will continue.
Definitely.
So we are working together, and we continue to work with both government and non-governmental organizations. But again, election is also coming. I'm also the convener for Civil Society Situation Room on elections. And so it's important to look at violence during elections. Many women have suffered violence in that environment, and we hope that this, 2023 will be violence-free as well.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts with us. We look forward to having you again on the program.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. We've been speaking with Ene Obi, Country Director, Action Aid Nigeria, giving us perspectives on gender-based violence in Nigeria and the world over.